interesting about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart, you're doing it.
This is another great episode of the film review.
We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. Stay tuned. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D. Tracy. And this is the film review. Stay tuned. We got a lot to talk about. We are the husband and wife team that review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. This is the film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. Sunday at 5:30 on Crazy Dion page on Facebook. Live stream. The film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. This is the film review. What's going on, people? This is another great episode of the film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
Yep.
And do we have a great one for you today?
Yep.
Let's talk about what we're going to... Let's look at what we're going to be talking about. This is Easter Sunday.
Yep.
And this is the 56th episode of the film review. It's transition time.
Right?
Happy
Easter.
That's right. It's
Happy Resurrection Day.
That's right. That's right. So it's Easter. What is the purpose of Easter to you? We're going to be discussing that. 420 and the How High 2 movie came out yesterday. Yesterday was 420. Those who love to indulge in the ganja smoke, I'll say that. It was 420. How High 2 debuted on MTV Late Night. Does it stand up to the original, or is it a waste of digital? We're going to be talking about that. The Phantom Thread Poisoning. What? It was Oscar worthy? Really? But Crawford makes Amir Khan quit, or did he? You know, it's all up into the eyes of the beholder. Then we got one called The Quiet Place. You know, it was in the theater last year, but you know, we just got a chance to see it this year, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. Beyonce brought us Homecoming, and we already told you what we feel, what we believe about it. We already told you that it's a 10, but we're going to delve deep into it and the meaning and the symbolism. T.I. brought the Trap movie. Right, we're gonna be talking about that. That's that 420's release of a How High 2 featured DC Fly, and also DC Fly is in the Trap movie, T.I.'s Trap movie. Is it a good look for him or not? You know, is this a good week for DC Fly? And then Joaquin Phoenix brought You Were Never Here. Right, so we're going to be talking about that. So I'm going to be doing some populating, you know, so this is what we're setting up for. And we want you to come in and, you know, chime in, comment, and do your thing. So first of all, how was your week?
My week was great. Beyonce released Homecoming on Netflix. It was great. We had fun with Wine and Conversation, Jennifer and Tamika.
Yeah, we want to shout out to them. We were, if you didn't know, you should know, because we blew this all up all over afterwards. You know, we were on Wine and Conversation with Jennifer and Tamika, and we had a great time. We had really a great conversation with the two ladies.
Great conversation with great people.
That's right. And you know, we were drinking, but people, just to tell you, you know what I'm saying, we stayed true to it. We weren't destroying the illusion while we were there, being a stick in the mud, but because we were drinking non-alcoholic, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So because we don't drink around here. We don't drink around here. But yeah, let me type this in real quick.
This week went by really fast.
It did.
It flew by. I can't believe that May is just around the corner.
May is around the corner, and we're having April showers in Las Vegas, and that's not something that usually happens, people. We don't have April showers in Las Vegas, so that's a little strange, just to say the least, because we don't have that. We don't have that here. But so as I populate Easter, what does Easter mean to you? What does Easter mean to you? And that's the question of the day. For me, thinking about it and looking at it and saying what Easter means to me, anything that relieves people and reassures them about what is ultimately going to happen to them with the some people believe fortunate or unfortunate dirt nap that all of us are going to have to take one day. Anything that eases you as far as that is concerned, I believe live and let live as far as what people believe. That's what I say. Because it's a hard thing to realize that one day you won't be breathing anymore. But most of us who are Geminis, we often think about that. We think about that every day. That's why you hear music, you heard Big, you heard Pop, you hear others, and then Cube said F dot. You know what I'm saying? So we think about it every day, but we make sure that we leave something behind while we're here. Film review is
and I'm also happy about the new film review.
Oh, t-shirts. That's right. We had a new film review t-shirts. When you become a member, you receive a t-shirt, and it's all kinds of perks happening with the t-shirt. You go right over to lordlandfilms.com. Lordlandfilms.com, and right there in the Navi bar, you'll see, right after you see the home, you'll see member. You push member, and different levels of membership to join.
All kinds of perks.
All kinds of perks, like
including being a part of the film review.
That's right, and also getting being able to be in the monthly drawing for 2 passes to go see your favorite movie on us. You know what I mean? So we're going to be talking about that more again as we rev up the show, but we just want to tell you that and get you going on that. So check that out, lordlandfilms.com, and you see member. Now on your cell phone, on the app on the cell phone, you'll see the home. Once you go to lordlandfilms.com, you'll see the home icon. Then you'll see 3 little slits, like a box that looks like 3 little slits. You hit those 3 little slits, and the menu Navi bar comes down, opens up, and you're able to push member and then look at the different situations that way, right? So as we go on, thank you for that, because that's what we were going to talk about too, but how we do. So let me get this started here.
It's a beautiful page that Crazy D put together.
And then the new website for the film review music review show is up. We're gonna be telling you about that, how to get there. Come on, y'all. The film review is on.
And those of you that watched Game of Thrones, which kicked off last week, let us know what you thought about it.
Right. Yeah, let us know. Yeah, Game of Thrones. Let's talk about that real quick because that's not on our list.
Right. So
and while we're doing, oh, let me turn this down. Look at this. Look at this. We're hearing volume. So as we go, right?
So who do you think deserves the throne, or who will end up sitting on the throne?
That's right. Who do you think will get it?
And not only that, hey Shanine, happy Resurrection Day, happy Easter.
Thanks for chiming in, Shanine.
Yeah. Thank you for the Easter text.
So here's the question. Yeah, thank you for the Easter text. This is the question for tonight. This is Easter Sunday.
Right.
And what is the purpose of Easter to you?
Yeah.
I kind of chimed in. We're going to come back to that. That's the main question for tonight.
Right.
And people, you write in, and then we're going to read what you're saying and respond to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So most definitely do that, and we appreciate everyone chiming in and watching us. Again, this is the film review for on Easter Sunday. It's the 56th episode of the film review. So this is in transition. This is that spring solstice.
Speaking of members, Shanine is a member of the film review.
Yeah, that's right. Shanine is there. You know what I'm saying? She's always been there. She'll
be receiving her film review t-shirt.
Yeah.
The mail soon.
Yeah. So as we populate. So now that's the question for today, and what's that? But okay. So 420 was yesterday, and a lot of people got blizzoed, and I wonder, it got blew back. They were blew back. They got blew back, and I wonder if they were able to wake up and celebrate the Resurrection Day, right? So they released 420 on MTV. They released How High 2. Now, if you remember How High 1...
Yeah, with Method Man and Redman.
That's right. Came out in 2001. It was based on their record, How High. Right? And so they did this movie. It was a big success.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the movie studio, Universal, started holding up on producing part 2, giving the green light to shoot part 2, right? And it dragged on and by 2015, Redman had said that it was going to come out in 2017. By the time 2017, now we went from the 2000s into the 2010s, and the piece still hadn't come out yet, right? So by 2015, again, Redman said that it would be coming out in 2017. 2017 comes around, and there's a rewrite because Meth and Red, as Redman being the spokesperson, said that if it's not as funny as the original draft, we're not going to do it. We're going to walk. So Redman and Method Man in 2018 were out, and it was announced that Lil Yachty and DC Young Fly. I'm writing his name wrong. I'm saying his name wrong at the top of the show. That is nothing, because a man's name or a woman's name to her or him is like platinum and gold. So it's DC Young Fly. Okay. So they said that they were going to cast them as the roles and call the film, because originally the film was going to be called Too High, like oh so high, like TOO, also high, Too High. That's what they were going to be called, right? It was going to be called under Redman and Method Man, but instead they call it How High 2. So I'm sitting up watching this work. So let me tell you what's happening with it. Okay, so as I populate, I'm gonna be doing multitasking.
Yeah, it was 3 a.m.
Yeah, it was
And
3 a.m.
watching
because
it.
we had, I came back and was editing and blasting out that we were on the Wine and Conversation show with
Yep.
Jen and Tamika
Yep.
the day before. That earlier in that day. So that's what I was doing. And so that passed, the debut passed me by, but I got to see the replay. And so let me lay it out for you. Let me turn the page because I've done extensive notes on this piece.
Okay.
And the question is does it stand up to the original, or is it a waste of digital? That's the question for tonight. Now, Little Yachty plays Roger. DC Youngfly plays Calvin. Mike Epps embodies his role as Baby Powder. And there's a white character that's introduced named Hayes, and we're going to get to that in a second. Now, when the film opens up, you're introduced first to Little Yachty, right? You're introduced to Little Yachty first, right? And Little Yachty is working at a fast food joint, Zippo's or Zeppos or Zippo. It's Zippos, not Zeppos, because it's an E. Zippos, and he's working there, and he's at the drive-thru, and he looks through at the camera as the girls pull up. Two women pull up to the drive-thru, a European American and a black girl, and they pull up, and he can see them as they're ordering. And they say, we want to do. So then they spin around and they're talking to him. Next thing you know, the girls grab him from out of the takeout window and pull him into the car. And then next thing you know, they cut to the scene where they're in the car and they're smoking. And they're having a good time smoking weed. And then they bring him out a gas mask where he can really feel the weed. So they put the gas mask on him, and then next thing you know, as he's let's just call it intoxicated, blue back. He's blue back now, and the European American woman pulls out a stun gun and says, "Now you're going to take us into the restaurant so we can get all that money, or we're going to cook your meat." Right? And so next thing you know, you see him tied up and he loses his job. Then we flash to be introduced to DC Youngfly. DC Youngfly is doing something like driving around. He could be doing the Def OJ thing. Now the Def OJ thing, when you listen to Rappers Delight, the Def OJ is the Cadillac that is orange that would take people from point A to point B. It was like Uber in New York City before Uber, and for some reason there it was considered illegal because of the taxi services. But then once they did what they did, now Uber is legal. So he's doing something like that. He's like a Uber driver, but they're not telling you. I guess they didn't get clearance on it, and I wouldn't have gave it to him if I was the Uber people. So he's there and he's driving, and he pulls up on this kid, and the kid gets in the car, and it seems like he somewhat knows the kid. It's the white kid named Hayes, and he's trying to sell him some weed, and Hayes says, "This isn't good weed. This isn't even brown." Something he said. And then so he said, "Well, this and that, get out my car." And he said, "No, I'm just playing." So he took him away. So the opening segment on DC Fly was kind of, to me, flat, and so then you're introduced to the two characters. Okay. And then they come together, and you're introduced to their dramatic need, which is they need to sell this product for a OG by the name of Big Bang. Big Bang is played by D. Ray Davis. And D. Ray Davis, when he gets to the film, the first 7 minutes of the film where they're introducing the two characters, it's just like But when you get to D. Ray Davis as Big Bang, I mean, he opens up and he delivers on that opening and delivers that character, and it turns instantly hilarious the way that he introduces the character to the people, right? And so then I said, oh, well, there may be some redemption in this movie, because the first opening you see, hey, what's going on? Artist D, long time no see, man. That's one of my customers that always will come in and buy mixtapes. How's everything, man? Chime in and let us know so that we could talk with you. Miriam Gibson, thanks for chiming in. This is the Easter special 56 episode of the Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, and Society. And the question for today is, what is the purpose of Easter to you?
Yes.
Right? This is Easter Sunday. That's the question for tonight. And we're talking about the movie How High that debuted on 4/20 yesterday on AMTV, which is MTV AM, you know, because I saw it at 3 a.m. because I was busy earlier, right? So let's continue on. And then Shanine chimed in, and we're going to read what she said, what she thinks Easter means to her, right? So D. Ray, I can't enough state how D. Ray Davis killed it, but now people, instead of saying kill it, you say brought life. He brought life to this as Big Bang. And he says, and he calls out to Calvin, and he said, and Calvin says what? He says, I'll be. And he says, I'll be what? I'll be at your mama a little bit late. Hilarious, son. Hilarious. Had you laughing, right? So they're down in the basement. Now, this isn't on the caliber of Friday. It's not on the caliber of Half Baked. It's not on the caliber of
What about How
Friday
High or How High 1?
I just said it's not on the caliber of How High.
Not even
I just
the
said
original.
that.
Oh, okay.
It's not on the of How High.
Okay.
It's not on the caliber of Friday.
Okay.
It's not on the caliber of Half Baked. You know, that's Dave Chappelle's movie.
Right.
And it's worse than Reefer Madness. Now, Reefer Madness was a movie that came out in the 30s or 40s that was an anti-weed movie. To me, it is worse than that.
That was a black and white film.
Yeah, black and white film. If you ever see it, watch it.
They show it on what, Turner Movie
Yeah,
Classics.
they show it once a year. They show it.
They might have showed it yesterday.
Yeah, they might have showed it. We weren't there to see it. Right? So those movies that we mentioned, and Cheech and Chong, anything by Cheech and Chong, you don't have to be a stoner or weed enthusiast to enjoy those films, right? You don't have to be a weed enthusiast.
Because they're mostly comedies.
They're
right?
comedy, right? So we're here with Little Yachty and DC Young Fly, right?
I think this may be the first film that we reviewed that only one person saw. Like, you saw it, I didn't see it.
Right.
I was asleep 3 a.m. Right.
So they go to the house and they're sitting around and they're smoking weed. Now, there's a drought on weed for some reason. And the reason why the young kid didn't want to buy the weed is because basically it's told later that it was mixed with oregano, and you try to figure out how does this young white kid know this? So later in the story you find out he works for this corporation called Phi, which is slang for fire, and it's run by a chick named Chiva.
Okay.
It's Anna Chiva.
Okay.
It's a European American woman is wearing braids, and she's misappropriating the culture, talking in the slang, talking ebonics, and acting like she's really down with the people, right? So hold that thought, because I'm going to read what Shanine said about resurrection. About Easter, and what the purpose of Easter is. Resurrection means celebrating God and everything He's done. It's my favorite holiday. I love the praise and worship that goes on. I don't like the 2 they chose for How High 2. I'm thinking it sucked. Okay, well, we're getting ready to get into that.
Shanine already gave her film review.
She thought it sucked. She hasn't seen it yet, obviously.
Okay.
But she said she's thinking it sucked.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
so let's get
Man
into
and Method Man, they're not a part of it.
Right.
They're not even executive producers of the film.
Right. So they go and they sit in the basement of Lil Yachty's mother's. They're cousins, you find out.
Okay.
And they're sitting there, so they're on the phone, and then for some reason DC Young Fly throws his phone at the wall and it hits a picture of Lil Yachty. It falls down, and there's an opening in the wall, and within the wall, glowing, is a Bible on weed and how to grow this super natural weed. So they take it and they're looking at it, and so somehow as they're smoking weed, they're transported to where Mike Epps re-embodies his role as Baby Powder.
Okay.
And he tells them if they grow this is going to be it. So they grow this, and it jumps up like Jack and the Beanstalk, right, in the basement. It doesn't go up through the ceiling, just a big old tree of weed, a tree weed, and weed tree. And so they start selling this. So they show it to the European American white boy in the car, and then he takes it, and everyone smokes it, and then they just go on this super ultimate ultra high. And so they're on this super ultimate ultra high, and then it seems like supernatural things can do. They can jump, they can run. The slow motion kind of reminds me of Dolomite's Petey Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law, because they have some slow motion movement going on in this, and it kind of reminds me of that, right? Okay, so that's the premise of the film. So they get this, and they have a dramatic need. They're both out of work, and so they were selling Big Bang's weed for that. So Big Bang notices over time that they're starting to get fresh. They're starting to wear clothes and things, and next thing you know, they go away, they come back, and the tree is cut down, and the book is stolen, and that's the one thing that Baby Powder told them, not to always protect the book. And
played
all
by,
that,
who's that?
right?
Mike Epps.
Mike Epps, right? Okay. And so it's gone, right? So then they have to go through all these different hijinks and shenanigans to try to figure out who does it now. That's where we're gonna stop, and you can go watch the film the rest of the way.
It's on MTV.
But next week it's supposed to be coming out on DVD and Blu-ray.
Okay.
I would shake my head and say, but let me finish. So the script is disjointed. It's like there's no cohesion to the story. It's like they're going off and doing different things, and then somehow they're packed together in this. It's nothing like the first How High. And I'm going to break this down and tell you why. It's nothing like the first How High because Method Man and Redman are two natural born characters. They were who they were. They had the album out. They had the first jam out, which was the Rock Wilder, right? Then they How High was the first. That was the first single where they found out if they were compatible with each other, because they said, well, I need to hang with a person. I can't just do this album because his last part of his name is Man, and my last part of my name is Man. I can't just hang out with this guy, so I got to find out if we can jail.
Right.
So How High was the first single, and I remember Redman Coming to Town.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I remember Redman Coming to Town, and he. And you know, there was some, it's just hip hop. That's what it is, just dissertation. That's another story for another time. The two DJs, the twins, but that's another time. So it is not Redman and Method Man. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Redman and Method Man walked in agency. They had agency. They came up during a time. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with necessarily age, because there were MCs out there. Let me take a drink of water.
And at the time they did the film, they were young artists also.
Right. But there were MCs at the time that did not have agency.
Okay.
Right. During that time, that just would do anything.
Right.
But these two men.
Hey, Joy LaShawn.
Hey, what's going on, Joy?
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah, thanks for chiming in. She's Cleveland native here in Las Vegas, making it happen at with the Joy Ride on Power 88. You know what I mean? So the question for tonight, Joy, is
Sharon Smith.
And Sharon Smith, thanks for chiming in, is what is the purpose of Easter to you, as we are reviewing How High 2, starring Lil Yachty and DC Young Fly. Okay, so
hey Franklin G.
Hey, what's going on, Franklin? Thanks for chiming in. The question for tonight is what is the purpose of Easter to you?
Right.
As we review first How High 2, the movie. Okay, so we're sitting there, I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and I'm saying, first of all, these two characters do not have agency. And what do I mean by that when I say have agency? Many times we as a people have to push to make sure that we have agency, that we are in control of the narrative that's going on in the picture, right? So when Redman said that if it's not as funny as the original draft, when he said that in 17, when they started doing rewrites, him and Meth would walk, it's because what they saw in the script that was being written was some buffoonery, right? So I want to say that. So this is what, so not to say that, well, let's just go on. Let me go through it, and then we're going to give it to you totally, right? So in this film, Lil Yachty and DC Young Fly do not have agency. And it is not a buddy film. The Redman and Method Man film How High, and later if they had come out with Too High, which meant oh so high, if they had come out with that, that was a buddy film. They were equally yoked within the film. They did things that they were apart. They both had love interest, and they didn't. This was a lead role and a sidekick. DC Young Fly in this picture was the sidekick, and Lil Yachty was the main character. Lil Yachty, though he never did anything in the film, you understand what I'm saying? He had a love interest. He, talked to different people differently than DC Young Fly would. DC Young Fly was more of the Stepping Fletcher of the film. Like,
was he the comic relief?
He was the comic relief, and many times the comic relief was not funny. Okay. Right? It was not funny, and it just didn't make any sense in the picture. You know, like we reference films that are good that you can watch if you're a stoner or a weed enthusiast or not. You can watch Half-Baked, hilarious, right? You can watch the Cheech and Chong movies, hilarious. You can watch Friday, hilarious.
Yeah, Franklin says step and fetch it.
Well, Stephen Fletcher. I always heard Stephen Fletcher, but Stephen Fetchit, whichever. Is it Stephen Fletcher, Stephen Fetchit? But he was an accomplished, but you come to find out he was an immigrant. Mm-hmm. He wasn't an ADOS. Go figure that. Now, so they don't have agency. Hey, what's going on, Michael Black? Thanks for chiming in. The question for today is, what does Easter? What is the purpose of Easter
Raymond
to you?
Savoy.
Hey, what's going on, Ramon? Right. So, what is the purpose of Easter to you? That's the question for tonight. We're reviewing How High. So we've mentioned these films, right? And How High, especially the very original, very agent driven. They have agency, right? So we're sitting here. I'm sitting there and I'm watching it and I'm like, and so I thought that this was going to be a good week. I thought for DC Young Fly, because you can see him on Wild 'N Out. Right. You can, you saw him, he was in the Trap movie, right?
Hey, Marquise.
Thanks for chiming in. Then he was in this film, and I thought, oh, this is going to be good for him. But unfortunately for both films, he played the same type of character. And we're going to get to the Trap movie by T.I. in a second, starring him and Mike Epps in a little bit. But he played the same type of character, and I think that when I first saw him come on the scene, I said he's like a young Chris Tucker, and I could see him in a Friday film, like possibly being like the next generation, like Sons or whatever, and him being like Chris Tucker. And then whomever would be like the Ice Cube character and could go on. So in my opinion, to me, he needs to be more choosing or choicey about
his role selection.
About the role selection, right? Because he's left out there to be just irresponsible, not able to follow through, not able to do in both roles. And these are the type of roles that typecasting him. And he seems to be that stereotype, that archetype that they're pushing on film. But Little Yachty was not much better. His pronunciation was not there.
I think this is his first film.
Yeah, it's the first film, but he can't act.
You say he can't?
He can't.
Oh.
He can't act.
Okay.
DC Young Fly can act, and that's what makes me wonder, is it something where he can't memorize lines? You know, that might be something where he cannot memorize lines.
So how was the movie soundtrack? Because the soundtrack to the original was
soundtrack wasn't good. Okay. Wasn't good. Matter of fact, at one point in the film, it turned into a music video, and I'm like, where is it from? This is a surreal situation, and I guess it was.
Maybe it'll be a cult classic.
You know what? I don't think it's gonna be a cult classic, because Half Baked is a cult classic. Friday is a cult classic. How High is a cult classic. Even Reefer Madness is a cult classic. But this, I don't know. Now, so let's get down to the nitty gritty of this. How High, again, was based on Method Man and Redman's song How High, right? It was the first hit that they had together as a people. So now, as a group. The director of How High 2, starring Little Yachty and DC Young Fly, is named Bruce Leddy, right? Now, the writer of How High 2 is the same writer for How High 1.
Oh, and really?
Yeah, that's right. His name is Dustin Lee Abraham. Dustin Lee Abraham. Let me take a drink of water. Watch out now.
It would have been nice if they had added Redman and Method Man to this film, like to bridge the generational gap.
But see what Redman and Method Man saw in the film was all the older heads were together in the film. Like I'm telling you, D. Ray Davis, the way he lights the film up as Big Bang, that those 5 those 3 minutes that he stays on the screen, and the other times that he comes back, the first 3 minutes that he's on the screen, he is killing it, and he brings the piece to life. Okay, so that right there, you can watch that and then cut it off, because that's about it, right? So the story is it's a bunch of stories going on at once, and they have a dramatic need, but then it looks like the writer wrote all of these characters so that these European American actors could get a paycheck, right? The Anna Chiva chick, again, she's misappropriating culture. She's going yo, 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 word is born with the hair and stuff. And then when she turns corporate and she's taking, because it's a drought in Atlanta, you find out that the drought in Atlanta is because her corporation has been pulling all the weed off the street so they can release this synthetic synthetic form of weed to the people and say that it's better, right? And so there's certain connectivities. There's not story beats written into it, so nothing really connects. It's just scenes put together to make a film. And so when she gets up there and she's there, so they're writing and saying that,
Hi,
hey,
Millie.
what's going on, Millie Mills? The question for tonight is, what is the purpose of Easter to you? Also, he is a MC, and he's going to be on episode 2. His song is going to be in episode 2 of the film review, music review show coming up. So look forward to that. So they basically say that the European American woman is not to be trusted. This is what they're writing, that she is a thief, that she will steal from you and she will lie and cheat to get what she wants. This is what this man, Dustin Lee Abraham, is writing. But here's the kicker, people. Dustin Lee Abraham was the writer on the first, but you can tell that it was Method Man and Redman's agency and their mental that went into writing that script for part 1, which gave their characters, though they were stoners or weed enthusiasts. Hey, what's going on, Pamela Johnson? Thanks for chiming in. Question for the night: what is the purpose of Easter to you? As we review How High 2, that's the first movie for tonight. So, they wrote in the agency of the characters, right? The dignity of the characters, right? There was no dignity in the characters because, in my opinion, Lil Yachty and DC Young Fly didn't have any skin in the game as far as the How High record. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming them because many times people are put into places because of economics that they have to do what they feel they have to do. And Lil Yachty's aspect of it, he's an artist, he's platinum, he does his thing, you know, he's recognized, it's no problem. For DC Young Fly, however, this is the second film that I've seen him in. I've seen him in other things where he kind of plays the same stereotypical character. That's a problem for him, in my opinion. Now, though Dustin Lee Abraham, in my opinion, is writing about this woman and writing about the European American woman in particular, how she's not to be trusted and that she will steal, lie, cheat from you so that she can overcome and do what she wants to do. Universal held up because they obviously wanted to make How High dumb it down and make them more buffoonish, and Redman and Method Man weren't having it, and that's what it is. And we can't blame Lil Yachty and DC Young Fly because the situations, sometimes people do the best they can. Redman and Method Man walked. They saw this as an opportunity. They didn't know that it was going to be edited like this, or that the storyline wouldn't be cohesive like this. And so I'm not blaming them either, but I blame the writer and I blame the director. Okay? Because the writer is still the same writer as the 2001 film. Not as great, which means it was Method Man and Redman that was helping him with that script. Lil Yachty and DC Young Fly were just hired help. So thus they would not be in on saying, hey, how about doing it this way, or how about doing it that way. They just happened to be in a film, right? It was going to debut on MTV and before it released on DVD and Blu-ray, right? So that's not it. So what I'm saying is, my opinion, Dustin Lee Abraham stole. Because once Universal took the rights to the name How High, see that now that's something on Redman and Method Man's part is within the contract they wanted to get the film made, so maybe they just overlooked the fact that they would take the How High name and have control of it. Sometimes, so this is different examples of compromise, compromising yourself and making yourself weaker because you want to see this done, right? So there's different degrees of it, but it's happening. And so to have control of How High, he's still on the project, right? So this is just, in my opinion, good old boys club, and he's still on the project. And then he writes this, which is buffoonery on film, except for the way D. Ray Davis brings.
You said Mike Epps.
Mike Epps. They bring their characters to life with dignity. So there's a way that you can play it and not be the butt of the joke, but make someone else the butt of the joke, and that's, or the situation the butt of the joke, and that's how they played it. That's seasoned acting. They can take the same script and deliver it different than just how the person put it on the page, and it leaves you with dignity. When I played in The Boss for the 48-hour film fest thing, right? The writer wanted the Crime Boss 1 to be a comic relief character, but I took the character and I put a Jamaican accent on him, and I made him serious. So when people screened it, when it screened, certain people even told me that, you know, that was the showstopper in the piece, and I played it straight, and the other guy, you know, was the one that was the butt of the joke, getting his neck cracked. So to say that, he stole this, in my opinion. He stole this. So watch out for Dustin Lee Abraham. I'm telling you, Abraham, watch out. Let me take another one. Watch out now.
So it sounds like you would give it a little rating.
And women now, if you as a black person allow people to come in and take control of parts of your business, or they present to you opportunities of backing or sponsorship, watch out what the fine print reads, because sooner or later, guaranteed throughout history, they will own your name and they will own your product, and they will say it was just business, but it's the same old thing. And so this is what this is, and it's very disheartening to say the least, and I have to give it, because like I said, we went through other stoner films. The characters have agency and dignity. Cheech and Chong went across in vans in a lot of their films, and they had agency. And, you know, even though they were stoners, you still felt something, an affinity to them, and it didn't have to, or half-baked. Dave Chappelle's character had affinity. Friday, Chris Tucker and Ice Cube, though they sat on that porch the whole time and watched life go by, they still had a certain dignity to what they did. And the story okay, so we're back, y'all. Every time we talk about something, somebody must have some concerns or some money in this film. Every time they do that, they kind of like, they kind of, you know, they got to have something in it. So I'm going to give this, for the technical value of storytelling, there is none. As far as imagery is concerned, that's a 0.
Okay.
Individual acting, Mike Epps, also D-Ray Davis,
Right.
I have to give them a 10 because when they come on the screen, they bring it life, right? As far as the plot line, storyline, through line, 0.
Okay.
The agency of the characters, 0.
Okay.
The love interest storyline, 0. We know who was actually writing that script.
Okay.
You know, though old boy takes credit for it, in my opinion.
Okay.
So the film, to me, gets a 0. All right, people.
What's your next film?
So the next film that we're reviewing is, let me see where we are, because you know I had to do extensive notes on that. You know what I mean? Let me see what we got as far as the party situation. Agreed. One dimensional. Okay, let's see. D-Ray character was okay. Let's see. Let's go.
Oh,
through it.
other
Let's
people
go back.
saw it.
Yeah, everybody
Okay.
chimed in here.
Okay.
You know, we went through it, so let's go through some of the chime-ins. Okay, so Marquise said hello. I agree totally. Marquise, How High 2 was semi-decent, and Redman and Method Man wouldn't have played those roles in part 2, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yes, they were. I don't know what Shanine was saying, but that probably was something I said there. And then Marquise says, D-Ray character was funny. I didn't like the baby powder cameo. Okay. Millie Mills said, hey. Shanine said, agreed. And she said, one dimensional. All right. So as we go through, you know, we're broadcasting or streaming over different pages on Facebook. We have the group page for the film review. We have the fan page for the film review. Make sure you like and join both of those pages. We have the CDMP page. We have the Lordland Films page. And of course, we're on Crazy Dion page. And we're also on other pages. So make sure that you, whatever your flavor is, and we also on the Great Comedy Situations, because we're talking about comedy tonight, so we put it on also on that page, which is dedicated to great comedy situations where black artists are concerned. Let's see. So the next film that we're going to talk about is The Phantom Thread, or like what I would like to call the Phantom Thread Poisoning, right?
Starring Daniel Day-Lewis. And because Daniel Day-Lewis is starring in the film, and because there were like numerous Oscar nominations,
we said, well, let's watch it, you know. And you know, it came out last year, but we said we would watch it. And then who's his co-star?
Okay, let's see.
It's him, and then it's the older lady, and then it's the love interest.
I just want to, what did Maxine Waters say? Reclaim my time on that film.
Okay, so we're gonna get into this now. So he is a tailor. I'll say that. He's a female dressmaker, right? And he dresses some of the greats in that French society.
Yeah, including
royalty, rich people, for cotillions, for weddings, for special occasions, balls, all that. He is the house to go to, the haberdashery to go to, the house to go to.
Okay.
To do it. So let's go through
The Phantom Thread, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, Vicky Krieps, and Leslie Manville.
Leslie Manville's character as the one that is the all-observant watcher, sister. She does a great job in that film, right? I think the acting overall is pretty good.
Right, it's just the script.
Right. Okay, so he's a tailor. He's a dressmaker.
Okay.
And he's getting rid of his former muse. All of this is about muse. Like a photographer or a painter or someone will have a muse, a body type that they will cut their line of dresses off of, or take their pictures off of, or base what they do in the future with other people, right? So as the story is opening up, he has grown tired of his former muse, and she's going to be out the door soon. So he goes to have breakfast in France, and he sits down.
He goes on a vacation.
Oh, was it a vacation? Oh, okay. Well, anyway, he went off, and he goes and he sits in this diner. Or it was probably a pub. More like a pub with the tables, diner, whatever they call that in France.
Well, anyway, he shouldn't have gone to that diner.
Well, he said, oh, yeah, he shouldn't have.
Not a good idea.
So he meets up with, hey, what's going on, Nikki Rich?
Hey, Nikki.
Hey, happy Easter. The question for tonight is, what is the purpose of Easter to you? Right? So he goes into this place and he orders, but he becomes infatuated with this young lady who is his server. Well, actually, she comes out and she kind of blushes because she realizes it's him. He's famous. And so when she comes to the table, he orders all of this. LeBlack, what's going on, LeBlack? Thanks for chiming in. The question for tonight is, what does Easter mean to you? LeBlack is a poet in Las Vegas. You can see him on the 50th commemorative candlelight visual documentary that's playing on the Crazy on Dion YouTube page. He does his thing. But anyway, so glad that you chimed in. That's the question for this evening on Easter, 56th episode of the Film Review Transition. So somehow she passes her information to him. Next thing you know, he's got her back at the house, and he's got her stripped down to just her skivvy undergown. You know, she's excited. Her nipple, it must be cold in the room because her nipples are on her rack, and she thinks that something is going to happen, but then he starts sewing.
Yeah, he's designing for
so the story
so he's taking measurements, actually.
Right. So then he starts sewing it afterwards. So she thinks something is going to go on, but then the sister comes in the room, and then she sits there, and then she realizes that this man is only interested in her and for her body form. And then the sister tells her, well, he likes your body type. He likes a woman with a little more belly. And so she sits up there. So the story is narrated through her voice. She's the narrator, the unreliable narrator in this piece. And so she's the unreliable narrator in the piece. And so the story goes on, and then it becomes a romantic situation.
Which turns into a nightmare.
Which turns into a nightmare for him, or what you would think would be a nightmare.
You would think.
Because not only did she become, it's so subtle in the picture, but it's so subtle. It's subtle in the picture that she's possessive of him.
Is this like an Alfred Hitchcock film?
No, Alfred wouldn't have been this slow.
Oh, okay.
That's one thing. Alfred, it would have been something.
It would have took off.
It would have took up faster, right? So,
well, her crazy took off quickly.
No, her crazy was slow. But anyway, so listen. So we're sitting there. So she goes from being the model to then becoming a seamstress,
right?
Helping. Then next thing you know, she starts working in the kitchen, and then the woman tells her about the type of mushrooms that they go out in the wild and collect, and which ones are poisonous and which ones are not. That's when I renamed the film what is it called again? Let me see what the film is called again.
It's called Phantom Thread.
Yeah, right. That's when I started calling it the Phantom Thread poisoning. Because this woman, something happens and she doesn't get her way with him, right? And so she then goes and takes some of the poisonous mushrooms, because there's a book on the shelf in the kitchen that talks about which type of poisonous mushrooms, which ones will kill you, which ones will make you sick. So she goes out in the goes out in the wild and picks these things, and then she starts to cut them, and she puts it in the tea. So he has cut this gown for this woman's wedding, for this duchess or princess wedding, right? And so he gets so sick that he fumbles on the dress. His shoe mark is on the dress. He rips the silk on it and all that.
Yeah, he's been poisoned.
He's been poisoned. So then she takes over because she wanted to spend time with him, and she felt that this was the only way that she could spend time with him was to poison him.
And I watched the movie because I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It's Daniel Day-Lewis movie. This is his last film because this is the man who was in was it
There Will Be Blood.
Right.
There Will Be Blood. Have you ever seen that film? If you have never seen that film, you will see it, and there's a twist at the end of the film of There Will Be Blood.
And he also starred in Lincoln, right?
Yeah, he starred in Lincoln.
So, as well as other great films. So I'm thinking, okay, this is his last film. And it just...
But what did you research? What did you find out about the conditions at the time? Maybe that might be
okay, well, they said, well, he wasn't happy during the making of the film. So maybe that's why he was like, forget this is my last film. But after seeing the film, I see why it's his last film. But
they said they were in this little college.
Yeah,
and they were on top of each other.
He assumed that, I guess like in all his other films over the years, it'll take place in different areas, like outside, different venues, But this movie happened to take place in predominantly in this cottage.
Yeah.
It was a small cottage.
Right.
And like the cast, as well as the camera people, the designers, makeup, everybody were like on top of each other during the making of this film. Literally no room, no space.
Right. So
he wasn't happy during the making of this film at all. And I don't believe he was happy with this film. But after seeing this film, I wasn't happy with the film either. So, but hopefully this isn't his last film, because he really shouldn't go out like this, because this movie was just like...
Technically, the way that they made the knowing that they were cramped on top of each other, the use of lenses to make the
cinematography was beautiful.
Right, the use of lenses to make the rooms look larger than what they were.
Yeah, they did.
Or to represent when people felt claustrophobic.
Right.
Beautifully done. The technical aspect of it and the use of thematic storytelling in this film, excellent. Right? So
and his acting.
Yeah, his acting was good.
But it's just
the storyline, because here it is. She poisons him. She won't let the doctor come see him. One of his rich people who he cuts for sent their personal physician, and she wouldn't let him see it.
Sister wanted,
and so he gets better.
Right.
And then he knows.
Right.
By the end of the film, he knows that she does this, and she tells him, "You need to calm down," and he eats the food,
knowing that it's poison. That's when it just went like
it went left. It went left,
and then the movie just ended abruptly. It was just crazy.
It was crazy.
So
they go on. They have a family. You see him with a baby stroller. You're like, what is this? And this woman, to calm him down, will poison him and then nurse him back to health because she feels like she doesn't have time with him.
Right. You know what? I think this is the first time that I would give a film a rating of 3.
Yes, it's a low rated film. Now, technically, the acting, great.
Right. That's what I give it 1.
The script is needed to come up with some. I'm trying to figure out, is this the truth? Now, they talk about how some people who talk about this quote unquote fake thing that they talk about how black men say that black women are so whatever, and they can get with a white woman and they're docile and they're more cooperative. Well, if you watch films, the films tell you the truth. They'll just poison your butt. And
you mean Lifetime?
If you watch
Network,
Lifetime, ID channel, True TV, you watch these things and you see what the truth is. People are murdering people up, but you say that they're more docile. Which one do I really? What I want? Someone that I can mentally, and if we get into a disagreement, we can talk it out. We're equally yoked, or do I want someone that will be quiet, docile, but poison my ass? I want to take the person that. So for those of you, these are two films that we've talked about. They talk about the treachery of the European American woman, right? Well, that's European woman, and then the other one was the European American woman. And so they tell the treason, the treachery of those, the cheating, the treachery, the wanting to bring the man to heel.
Right. And she said it in his films, too.
She says it, and he goes along with it.
But the reason why I give it a 3 is, and that's being kind, I guess, but I love the cinematography. It was beautiful. So the few scenes we did get, like outside, like the ocean, he wasn't outside often, but and as well as, like you said, they made the rooms look a lot bigger than what they were.
Right.
So the cinematography was beautiful. The acting is beautiful. And the third would be the costume. Because he is a designer in this film, a tailor, like the dresses were beautiful. So just
No, the dresses, now all of that and the technical aspect of how they were showing you how they go about making dresses.
Yeah.
Like you see in films how they make the man's suits,
right.
But there's certain numbers that happen on the female form,
right.
that are more extensive, and
right.
the finished gowns, I give that a 10.
Yeah,
all of that
amazing.
is a 10.
That was amazing.
The storyline, that's to me a 1,
right.
And tallying that all together along with the acting prowess,
right.
He shouldn't go. This shouldn't be his last film.
It really shouldn't.
He
needs to call up Spike and tell him.
Yeah. Put him in a film. Like he even lost weight to be gaunt in this film,
yeah.
And so I had to give it to him on that. But
right.
Wrapping all that up and everything, it is a 3 for me.
Call up Ryan Coogler or Ava DuVernay.
Yeah. Get into a film of the modern era, of the modern time, of filmmaking. Now, so we went through there. Did you see? On 420, did you see Bud Crawford put the whipping on Amir Khan? Did you see Amir Khan quit? Now, Amir Khan said that he didn't quit, that he would never quit. But Bud was switching from southpaw to conventional styles, whipping him up, beating him up, and everything. His face had the leather marks on it. Right. It just
see if you have any comments.
Unbelievable, right? It's unbelievable. Let me see.
I'm so used to the comments being on there. That way I can see them as they come up.
No comments. Not since Nick.
So,
he put a whipping on him. So he says that the reason why he couldn't continue is because Bud Crawford hit him low.
Right.
And when you watch the replay, the punch was below the belt, but it was on the side of his inner thigh.
Right.
It did not hit the jewels, the crown jewels.
Right.
So he was quick because he was being worked. Bud Crawford, and also Bud Crawford called out Spence. Well, his coach called out Spence in the post interviews.
He wants to fight him. Huh?
Yeah, he wants to fight him. He says, "Quit hiding, come out that closet." He said. So that is a great fight. I mean, both fighters, I like them equally, right? Mm-hmm. So that's just going to be a good fight, and to the best man goes the spoils on that one, right? Because the other people can't really do what these two fighters can do, and that's the fight of a lifetime. That might be one of those fights that have 3 or 4, even a rubber match, because they're just that good, right?
Right.
All right, so T.I. No, wait. Beyonce. She brought Homecoming.
Right.
Right? Homecoming.
Right.
At Coachella.
When you redo this, the green screen with the backdrop, you need to put like a nice big bee with a crown on there for the beehive.
Okay, well, we're not promoting. I mean, we're doing the review. We're not promoting.
It was excellent.
Let me put this in here real quick. Okay, listen. People.
First of all, go ahead. First of all, we all know that. Well, most of us know that Beyonce is an excellent. We know she's an excellent singer, as well as entertainer, actress, activist. She really turned it up. So if you haven't seen Homecoming on Netflix, you definitely need to watch it. So it has to be when you have time to like actually sit down and take it all in, because it goes from her Coachella performances to like the documentary where, you know, you see the interaction, like the making, the behind the scenes, as well as her interaction with her children. You see pictures of her children or her husband, Jay-Z. Just like really nice, well done.
Blue Ivy plays a big part of it.
Yeah, she does. Blue Ivy is her co-star. She does a great job in the film.
Right. So
as well as she sings, Blue Ivy. So, but I mean, it's just like the entertainment is like crazy. Like Beyonce, I knew that she can dance, but she really put her foot in it, and during the making of it, you can see that she really put her heart and soul into it, and it's just like this, like a what is it, homage? I feel like to not to just black people, but black women as well. I mean, you hear poets, you hear like Nina Simone in it, as well as her music, poetry from others, but as well as Maya Angelou, and as well as other numerous poets. Just like well done. Like she put her blood, sweat, and tears into this documentary, and great job. You know, and her the bands. Like and they stayed in this, like it's just like a tribute to the HBCs, historical black colleges, and universities, and just like the bands, the steppers, just like everybody, every aspect of it, the people who do the batons, just like everyone.
But she was vulnerable in this because she laments about not being able to take in the experience of the college experience herself. So she laments that. Yeah. So she was very vulnerable.
She was, because she said she always wanted to go. She wanted to go to a black institution, but her father did. Her father was a graduate of an HBC,
and she took in the festivities.
Yeah, she did.
But it's nothing like being there on the campus, right? Yeah. So she brings this black tradition to Coachella.
She brought it to the world.
Traditionally milquetoast.
Right.
And then she brings it to the world as far as this documentary is concerned, right?
Right.
So.
Hey, Algie.
Hey, what's going on, Algie?
Happy
Thanks
Easter.
for chiming in. The story for tonight. I mean, the question for tonight is, what is the purpose of Easter to you?
Yep, resurrection.
Right? And so, many people. Hey, what's going on, Kenneth? Thanks for chiming in. Question for tonight is, what is the purpose of Easter to you?
Right.
Chime in. We'll read your response over the air. Yeah. And we're reviewing Homecoming by Queen Bee, Beyonce, right?
Yeah.
So many black artists, you know, we're coming into a Renaissance period again. It's like the Black Renaissance. During the 1930s in Harlem. We're coming through a renaissance where the
Okay, we're
okay.
back.
So we're back. You know, whenever we're saying something, they seem to cut the feed, and so I guess
Facebook.
There's no money in Beyonce and Facebook, so they had to put a little halt to it for a minute. So now we don't know what you missed, but here we go. Many times the entertainers were in a renaissance, like we said. It's like the Harlem Renaissance of the 1930s, and people are exploring and expressing their blackness,
right.
their proudness of the drum, of
right.
the theatrical, of the musicality, of
right.
the physicality of black people,
right.
especially coming from America in those traditions,
right.
coming from out of being ADOS, and then coming out of Jim Crow,
right.
the Nate Dare and all that, and still being able to create masterpieces of
right.
all kinds of art
right.
that permeate the world and affect and influence the world
right.
in so many positive ways,
yeah.
right? So Beyonce doesn't shy away from that, and that's what we love about Beyonce.
Yes.
Not only does she represent dignity,
right.
Uprightness, royalty, class, but she also is not afraid
right.
to express
right.
the love of herself in all forms. Not just saying, oh, I have to be like this and
right.
have to act like that to be
right.
considered a queen,
right.
but she's able to express
right.
totally every aspect of what it is to be black.
Yes.
And this is what she does in this piece. We love it. So it opens up and you're introduced to a behind the scenes section.
Yeah.
Then you're introduced to her on stage with the crown.
Right.
And then you're introduced to this whole cascade. It's like a mixtape.
Yeah,
it's like a mixtape, and you're going, man, and you're gone, and it's just
right.
taking you on this journey, on this trip, right?
Yeah.
That you are taking on musically.
Right.
And now, you know, on my Crazy on Dion page, I posted a photo of when I first met
right.
Destiny's Child.
Right.
It was at an event called the New Power Soul or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And I had told my wife, because you know they would bring retailers,
yeah.
the record labels would bring retailers to meet these groups,
right?
Especially if you were SoundScan store,
yeah.
you came because they wanted you to definitely push to sell this product, so it would be
right.
big billboard, right?
Right.
Billboard magazine things, right? So
right.
she started to do no,
right.
right, with them. And you know, I had heard the record, you know, I was like, cool, and I heard the Wyclef remix, right? So she started singing no, and she started doing these runs and going up these octaves higher, and I looked around and said, I wonder if anybody else. And I said, this young lady right here is a star.
Yeah.
And so I knew it. And who knew? I knew.
Yeah.
And I was like this. So, you know, at the end of the night, you know, they were taking pictures, and so, you know, we just sat there. It was I and another retailer, and what happens is Beyonce was always the leader.
Yeah.
She was the leader, even then, right?
Right.
She looked at him. She looked at me. She looked at him. She looked at me.
Right.
And she tiptoed over.
Right.
Kelly got on the other side.
Yeah.
What's her name? Octavia was on the other side of Beyonce, and LaToya Luckett got on the other side there. And dude was on the outside looking in, and they took the picture. So those smiles that you see
right.
are genuine smiles because
right.
she looked at him, she looked at me, she looked at him, and they all strolled over to what they felt right. looked more pleasant. And that's where we'll leave that right there, people.
God.
So yeah, so who knew? We knew. Listen, Beyonce, the steadfastness, the power couple of her and Jay-Z,
yes.
The wherewithal to tell the black story at Coachella, which has usually been milquetoast, which has opened up more doors for more acts of melanated persuasion.
She's the first black woman to headline Coachella.
Right.
The first black artist to headline Coachella was Prince.
That's right.
Right. And then a few years later, the second the first hip hop black act to headline Coachella was Jay-Z. And now we have, 2018, Beyonce was the first black female artist to headline Coachella. So those are the three.
Right. So people, this experience, like in the seat, going through all the songs, pushing through. Now, any person, I knew that Beyonce was special that night. Her ability to sing. When people talk about, oh, somebody can do this better, or that person can do it better, I knew then her vocal range. Like they used to try to break the group up and say, well, old girl can sing, but the girls in the group can sing better than her. Anything to try to tell her, no. Just like the song.
They can sing.
They can sing.
Beyonce can sing.
They can, she can sing, right? And when someone falls down the steps, gets up, it bounces back up and keeps it moving in a performance, right? That didn't happen on Homecoming, but that happened early on in her earlier solo career.
Right.
And for her now to be able, Beyonce's in her 30s.
Right.
She's out there moving with kids, young men and women who are in their 19s and 20s.
And she talks about this in the documentary, and she talks about her admiration for these kids, because she's like, these kids, the way they move, I love it. I love them. I mean, you see the interaction between Beyonce and her dancers and the band members. Some of them are actual HBC students, because in the one scene when they were all on the bus, they asked how many of them are actual HBC students and alumni. But the interaction, you can tell they love her, she loved them. I mean, it's just
and she had frat sorority.
Yeah, she did.
And they all came together. Now, the first time I ever saw a unity step was back in Cleveland, Ohio, back during the Ohio homecoming, and I actually filmed that, and that's actually up on the Crazy on Dion page on YouTube too. So that's the first time I ever saw unity step, and that's what they were doing. They were unity stepping and putting it together and combining steps to bring this presentation, and it was just totally incredible.
It was incredible. And they talked to them, and a lot of them, what did they say? Oh, we don't want this to end. We're like a family. It was just beautiful.
It's an experience that will never happen again. It's a special experience that she created for them. That she created for herself, that she created for the audience. Now she created it for the world to see. And what's funny, she was sitting in, there's a behind the scenes where she's talking to her staff. And she's talking about the experience that she wants to translate on film. This is great direction and great production mind. She's saying that I'm not hearing in the replays in the rehearsals, I'm not hearing the footsteps, I'm not hearing the drum kicks, I'm not hearing the movement of bodies, I'm not hearing this, and this is the total immersing experience that I want the audience to hear in the finished product, what we hear. I don't want them to just hear the band or hear the music or hear the tracks. I want them to hear their movements as well. And she said, it's no need for me to write any more notes, because the notes I'm writing haven't been fulfilled yet. And Jay-Z was just sitting there looking at her, and the funniest thing, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know if they thought Jay was going to chime in or say anything. He said, and at the end, as she walked away, She walked away with disdain,
right?
You know, with control, disdain.
Right.
I know that when she got in the car, he said, "What are you doing?"
Right.
They not listening, and then
right.
But he says, "All right, guys." And he walked away.
He had a little
What's
smile
going
on
on,
his face.
D'Angelo?
Hey, D'Angelo.
Thanks for chiming in. We're talking
Good.
about Homecoming by Beyonce, right?
On
and
Netflix.
talking about, you know, the elements of it, which makes it great.
Yeah.
The question for tonight is, what is the purpose of Easter to you?
Right.
Write it down, chiming in. We'll you know, read it over the air and talk about it.
Right.
But
you know, in that documentary, so those of you who have like the Carter's album, Beyonce's song that's on that album, well, it's her and Jay-Z together, so it's their song together. But it's a song called Boss on their album, and it describes that entire situation. Like, she goes into detail what it's like to be a boss and to have to handle this and to deal with this and to deal with that. So, and that scene alone, it made me think of her song Boss, and it's an excellent documentary, and you get to be behind the scenes, and you just like in her other documentaries, you see like the real Beyonce, the real, you know, what she's going through. And that's what I like and respect about Beyonce, because she's not just like Jay-Z said, Shani said theme song.
Yeah, that's it.
And like what Jay-Z says about her, he's like, no, she's not for the fame, you know.
Right.
She does this because she loves it and she loves her fans,
right.
and it comes across in her documentaries, not just this one, right? But in all her other ones, you see the real Beyonce, and you see her like a regular girl. No, she don't have no makeup. Her hair is just however, and she's saying what she needs to say. She's not worried about lights, camera, and action. And she lets you know when she's on stage, that's a performance. Okay, the costumes, the hair, the makeup, flawless. But when she's not on stage, and when it's about pure business,
it's about business. It's business.
She dressed like everybody else. She, you know, what, sweats, jeans, whatever. You know, she's just a real person.
Real person.
Yeah.
D'Angelo said, "Hey,
D'Angelo.
Me and parents watched it." That's right. Yeah. It's worth seeing. It's worth seeing again and again.
And definitely your kids.
Yeah.
You know, you know, they need to get a feel of that, what it's like for HBC, Black College Experience. Just
people have to stop being so stick in the mud over physical form. How long are we going to fall for that miseducation of the Negro mind trick? Right?
Yeah, she has.
It's like, how long are we going to fall for that Negro miseducation of the Negro mind trick? It's like they push to you that the beauty standard is the European woman. They in these museums, they have paintings where where they show you nude European women, and they say that this is the beauty standard, and then we sit up and say, and at the same time they say, well, you should be covered up. Don't you see that that's a game? Don't you see that's a game? The most beautifully built, the best on the planet is the black woman, right? And for people to say, oh, I don't like her because she dresses a certain way. I don't know, but I'm just saying, it's people who are hung up. Like she said, you know, y'all corny for that.
Illuminati in the song.
Yeah, right.
One of her
she
lyrics.
said, yeah, right.
Yeah.
She said you're corny for that. You know what I mean? And all that other, all the situations of holding you back from your expression. Right? You have to be able to express yourself, because through our expression, that is how we always win.
But you come from a city. I've been trying to figure out, you know, like the dynamics and stuff. And the only thing that I can think of is, like, you know, growing up, like as far as like the arts and stuff. Let's say in the Midwest, right? Cleveland, Ohio, right? So not only private schools, but public schools also, like we had access to like the arts. It was just part of the curriculum, right? So everybody in public school, from elementary school on up. Everyone, you went to the Cleveland Orchestra. You went to the Playhouse. You went to the
History Museum,
the Art Museum, and then was it the Observatory?
Yeah, the Observatory. That's right.
And so you became well-rounded, and you saw some of everything. And then so you saw, like, especially like when you went to the art museum, you saw the beautiful, like you saw the artwork and the statues and like the nude statues, but it's artistic, right?
Right.
So, like, let's say what they would have with the Roman, as well as you would see in the National History Museum, Natural History Museum, like the African women, like in their attire, some of them were nude. I mean, just beautiful art, right? So we grew up around that, the arts and stuff, right? So which makes you well-rounded. And then I think so for some people who may not have grown up around that, when they see Beyonce dressed up like in something like a cat suit or like a leotard or short shorts, and they're like, oh, what is she wearing? And I'm thinking she's not wearing anything any different than white entertainers or entertainers, period. She's entertaining.
And it's funny
but hold on for a minute. People I've never heard over the years, let's go as far back as the Brat Pack, right? With Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra. The Rat Pack. I'm thinking about Brat Pack. I'm thinking about the guy Iron Man and all of them. Right. So the Rat Pack, right? So let's go as far back as with the Lola Falana and Ann Margaret, as well as the guys, on the strip in Las Vegas, right? And then so people come to Vegas over the years and they see people wearing the women with the feathers wearing a attire, right? And then let's fast forward it to the beach bikini movies with Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon and all of that, right? And then you have Marilyn Monroe, who's a beauty standard and but then when a black woman who's a huge entertainer, right? And she's dressing nice and sexy, and in her performance, the woman is wearing cute little what is it? The sweat, the pink.
Yeah.
And then in one, cause she did the 2 weekends Coachella, right? And then one performance was cute pink sweat shirt, and the other one was yellow, and then she had on stuff that was like cute and form fitting. Hey, Stu.
Hey, what's going on,
and
Stu?
like sexy, attire. But classy, right? It wasn't raunchy or nasty. So to me, I'm just like confused when people say, "Oh, Beyonce, look at what she's wearing." I'm like, yeah, but you don't complain when other artists do it, when white artists do it. So it's just, I think it's just like a lot of nitpicking, because I think it's some envy there.
Ooh.
But I just say, like, the woman, she writes, she entertains. I mean, you can't uplift black women as well as the black community any more than what Jay-Z and Beyonce does.
There's no more.
So people that exactly, Shani, Raquel Welch, Farrah Fawcett, they don't even ride Kim Kardashian as hard as they ride Beyonce, and that's totally culture vulture. So, but when people do that, I kind of just look at them kind of like sideways. I'm like, really? You think she dressed a little too sexy? Really? You forget what you wore the other week, right? So
you were at the club with no pants,
right? You and talk to, and so I mean, I just kind of, I don't know, I'm just confused, but it was just excellent, and I just chalk it all up as to maybe being well-rounded, and maybe everyone didn't have the opportunity to be a part and immersed in the arts the way they did, the
way we were blessed.
Children growing up, right?
Because that was all during the time when
Shani said a lot of envy. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
So it's like during the time, because the 50s, 60s, they were fighting for that, so the civil rights were being pushed through.
Right.
But then Ronald Reagan came in and took the arts out of school.
Right.
So then those trips, all of a sudden, had to be some pay added to it to get it. Right. When we came through, it was all funding and grants. We didn't know that it was funding and grants. We thought it was just something that the school naturally did.
Right.
But it was all this because it was the arts in the school. So when they say they took music out of school, they took art. They took the arts out of school. They took music, dance. So when you see teachers still doing that. They're doing that out of their own pocket, out of their own dime, to keep that going. So maybe those people were caught up in the twist of Ronald Reagan pulling that from out of the schoolhouse. You know what I mean? And that's also too. So we have to always go back to the root of what's happening, of what's really going on.
Her moves and her dance moves and the fluidity, what is it? Fluidity?
Yeah.
Her movements. I'm like, maybe some people haven't seen the Alvin Ailey dancers. Like, you know, I'm like,
well, if they saw the Alvin Ailey dancers here,
and their movements,
but they came. But I know, but I'm talking about when they came. I was just we weren't doing a review then, but we definitely will review that. We would go see Alvin Ailey dancers every 2 years, and they would do this piece called "The Night Creatures,"
which was great,
which was based on Movement 2 by Duke Ellington. Right. And so when they came here, we were gung-ho to go see them. Kind of find out that was the B Troupe that came to Las Vegas, and they did some things with
a different choreographer. Remember?
Yeah, it was a different choreographer, and he didn't stay with the plan. He put in stuff, and the dancers changed, and they had, instead of having all black dancers, they had a mixed ensemble, and they couldn't do the moves. And I was like, are you doing affirmative action for them? Because they need to be able to do the moves exactly like a black dancer can to be considered as great as good.
But as far as like the history of Shanine says, hate for black anything artistic is a popular trend that happens every generation. Right. Like, but as far as like the Alvin Ailey himself as a choreographer, right? And then after he passed on, with Mae Jemison was the choreographer. And then if you've seen any of the footage of Maya Angelou, she was also a dancer, right? So it's all about movement. And so what Beyonce does is no different than what they do. Matter of fact, she hires the Alvin Ailey dancers, and they've shown that before. So we know this. They showed her going to the school, and the dancers fell out, and they were excited to see her. But what I'm saying is, when the people say, "Oh, she moves too sexy," and this and that, and I'm thinking, it's the arts. It's an art form. Are y'all freaking kidding me?
You know what?
Seriously?
I just get tired of the.
But it's okay for the Rockets in New York to kick.
And what do you think they were?
There, you know,
what do you think the men put them in the costumes for when they kicked up? What do you think they were doing? Huh? Do you think that they thought that was just great? They could kick high, or were they thinking something? So, but it's an art form,
right?
And you say this is art, right? And so I get tired. Weird. I get tired of sticking the mud.
It just seems like to me, anytime a black woman does something, people try to like tear it down. And in this, I'm not even talking about white people. I'm talking about black people who are quick to. As Maya Angelou said, she was on what's his name? Arsenio Hall years ago. And she gave an example of how sometimes she used a crow, right? And she said that there are times when you have to stand up for yourself and say no, or else people will pick you apart as if you're a scarecrow. Will pick you straw by straw by straw by straw until you don't even exist anymore, right? So this whole thing of when I see people just pick at her, especially black people, I'm just like, I'm at a loss for words. I'm like, really? Okay, Shanine said, OMG, I saw a documentary on Maya Angelou and it was excellent. Yep, they are so mad at B because she isn't a sellout. That's what it is. So it's like the politics of it all. So I see the other side where there are racist people who have an issue with her because they really went in on her when she did the NFL NFL performance, and the black women had on all black attire, you know, when she stood up for formation. In formation. And then that same year, you know, she had presented Kaepernick with an award at an award show where he was honored, and because she stands up for blackness, right? So, okay, so I see the racists, right, and the people who have issues with black people celebrating themselves, right? I can see that. But when black people go in on her, I'm like looking at them like, damn, what's wrong with you? Like, you don't have to like her music. You don't like to even like her performances. Hey, to each his own. But damn, I would think you would respect a woman.
Right. So it's art. Tired of the stick in the mud.
Right.
It's like our form and our freedom is not dictated by trying to be something that is acceptable to the European American or the European, right? Because if you really dig into their history, there are some disgusting things that you would say, hey, I don't quite really, there's something more dastardly about messing with animals than, you know, someone doing this or killing up children because, you know, or lynching or raping or, you know, just going into their head, you know. So there's something more. But you know what I find though, and I have to do this because this is Easter.
Not to cut you off, but hell, those people rap for Tina Marie more than they would Beyonce.
Oh yeah, she was yodeling.
She was a soul sister.
She was a soul sister. They loved her.
I love the Kardashians. They some soul sisters.
She was yodeling. Okay, anyway, not to dump on the dead. But anyway, listen, the past on. But you know, it's about culture, tired of sticking the muds, you know what I'm saying? Live life and experience it and love it because there's only one time here. But you know, people do in this the best they can.
Right.
It's just like if you watch the movie Amistad, right? The king in Amistad, they tried to take the boat over, but they kept going around in circles because the Europeans kept, you know, throwing them off. So they were captured by United States vessels and then brought to the United States, and they were held detained. Right. And so what you learn about the story is Amistad is not about ADOS. Right. Go ahead.
Shanine says coons and sellouts. They invite everyone to the cookout. Exactly. Right. Except for their own.
Right. So
wait a minute. They invite their own to the cookout to put on a barbecue to grill.
For the picnic. For the picnic. Pick up. But anyway, listen. It is not where was I?
Amistad.
Amistad. Okay. Amistad is not about ADOS. It is about a group of people who challenged because slavery had ended in Britain. So, and it was getting ready to start to be abolished in the States. And so they sat there because it was still happening, but they were basically went to court to petition for their freedom. This is what Amistad is about. But what you find in Amistad as they tell the story, and I'm like, well, this isn't a story about us, but okay, we're watching it. Here's the king who is fighting and negotiating, learning English, negotiating to petition and fight this case in the court, got the abolitionist lawyers to go in and fight on their behalf so that they could go back home, right? Meanwhile, there are missionaries in the towns who are handing out Bibles with pictures that talk about Christ. And they talk, you know, you got this. So at the end of the film, when they're set free, the king and majority of the men who knew what it took to get it done were like, yes, the one who took the Bible and had read the pictures and about Jesus and you know, white Jesus and how he forgave and how he would see you through, he started putting the Bible up in the air and had been brainwashed by that. He didn't he wasn't involved in matter of fact, in disagreement with them. He wanted to stay. Right. But he was in disagreement with the king. The king won their freedom. Right? Won them to be free to go back home. When he went back home, his whole village and all that was destroyed and dismantled, and his wife was gone and all that. But he had won his freedom. But the one person is standing there holding the Bible who was not involved in the fight. Right. You know, not involved in the negotiation, right? But they were brainwashed by the missionaries.
Right.
And so I say that people do the best that they can.
Right.
But when you watch evidence in films about what it is, you can still believe what you believe, but you got to bend that. You got to drop white Jesus. I mean, I'm just saying, you got to drop white Jesus, put black Jesus there and say, what would Jesus do? Let's tear up this marketplace. Okay, let's tear up the temple where you're selling the temple. Let's tear this up and rebuild it into a fashion that's better and not look at it. So that example right there, if you watch the ending of, watch the whole film, but watch the ending of Amistad, and you will see this, and you will see how here's a guy who actually fought for it, who believed in his God, believed in his ability to do, from in out. And here's a guy who wasn't involved, who was in disagreement, who looked from God outside in. So watch that film, and that tells the story of what's going on here, and you know why I see this is not something. There's people globally who say, I don't like Beyonce. Beyonce works from God in out. Remember the 7 virtues versus the 7 deadly sins. 7 deadly sins, you're looking for God to punish you or to keep you in line. But when you feel that you're God out, then you deal with the 7 virtues, right? And so there's no one that's perfect, but you deal with virtues instead of sin, right? And so that's what it is. So,
well, my thing is, you know, before we wrap that up, as far as it's like Beyonce. With the little girl, like for the people who when Blue Ivy, you remember when they. Matter of fact, not 106. Was it 106 in Park? The kid, not that show was canceled, but the other show. When the girl made the comment about Blue Ivy's natural hair. Some people have an issue with natural hair, and she joked about the little girl's hair. You know, they need to comb her hair. Ignorance.
Didn't they do that with the girl who won all the gold medals, and they talked about her kitchen?
Same thing with her, you know. So, but I mean, people are just, like I said, I just sit back and look at people. It's just like, you know, so what is a little girl, but you're going to put, why would they even put a chemical in a little girl's hair? And natural hair is beautiful. It's soft like cotton, you know, and isn't that what they talk about in the commercials? Cottony fresh, right?
the feel
right, soft cotton, exactly. So, but I mean,
the fabric of our enslavement.
I was irritated when they used to pick on Blue Ivy. You know, and Beyonce all day she needs to comb that little girl's hair, and the little girl's hair was beautiful. She wore natural hairstyles. So people just pick. You know. Oh, Shanine said that was Karuchi or Roxy that did that. Yeah, I think it was that. It was Karuchi. Yeah, you're right. It was at Karuchi they did that. Well, no longer. The show was canceled.
What's that? What the?
She made the comment about Blue Ivy's hair, the little nasty comment about her hair, natural hair. So that's why I'm just like so over. I just look at people who. How can you not be happy to see this unity? Like you, Black Love, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and their children. Like Shanine said, right? More envy. Like it's just frustrating. It's crazy.
So crazy. So the production value of it, knowing how she fought to make sure that the sounds, the immersive sounds that you heard, 10, the use of people's cell phone footage, and 7K 10K cameras, 10, the angles, 10,
hair and makeup,
10, the preparation of the dance sequences, 10, the preparation of the band, 10, the preparation of the Bugaboo step crew, 10, the preparation of the line of the female line dancers, 10.
And what we love, we didn't talk about how her dancers come in all sizes.
Yeah, all sizes, all beauty standards.
From teeny weeny to plus size.
She got that.
Excellent.
From, I think that's something that she got from Monique
when they
Monique
did that
stood up there on BET.
Yeah, and did the
and
tribute
she did
to her.
that right.
Johnny said dope.
Yeah. 10.
Yeah.
The costuming.
Right.
What it took to do what was it? It had been 200 people, right?
Maybe more.
Maybe more. To costume all the people.
Right.
10.
Right.
The sound quality of the finished product. 10.
Yeah.
The finish, because we went through technical side. Now we're talking about the finished film.
Right.
Using effects,
right,
and using different screens to
right,
represent,
right,
going from 16 millimeter to 16 by 9.
Right.
10.
Right.
The whole makeup of being black, more
right,
than conscious, pro-black.
Yes,
unapologetically
black,
pro-black.
Right.
10.
Right.
The love between the husband and the wife and the children shown within the piece.
Right.
10. The showing that the man did not overstep the sovereign woman, right, in her quest to get what was needed done. He had no say so other than to sit there and support her.
Right.
10. Overall, that's over 100%.
I mean, yeah, she's
110%.
And she talks about when she comes out, one of the scenes with the poetry and the most disrespected woman on the planet, the black woman, and then they break it down, and she just well done. She just, just excellent. 10 across the board. 10.
That aspect of it
10 plus
is the psychology to move us forward.
Right.
To bring tangible. This was a tangible, right, experience that, right, these people experienced. They will take on for the rest of their lives, yeah, and move forward and be, yeah, positive aspects.
Walk around, right, with pride, with their pride, head held high. That's right. Shoulders.
So that's a 10.
Yeah,
that's a 10.
Excellent. So definitely go to, if you haven't seen it, Netflix Homecoming,
and go watch it again and give it the thumbs up that, yeah, it deserves. Yeah. And please, people, get some culture. Yeah. You know, the black woman's body is not nasty. Yeah. It is not ugly. I produced artistic DVD called the original. It was the original Black Ice, where it's at a photo shoot, and the discussion of good hair, bad, right, so-called good hair, so-called bad hair, dark skin, light skin, all of that is discussed, and it's, right, women discussing it. And the nude form is not, the black nude form is not nasty, because, right, if that's nasty, then we need to take all the nude form or the European woman down, because that is just, in my opinion, disgusting. But anyway, people, if it's nasty, but we know that the best form on the planet is the black woman form, all shapes and sizes, right? So anyway,
just ask the all of the with plastic surgeons, because everybody's trying to get it. Oh, but and then another thing too, when you watch it, like the soundtrack, right? Because a lot of the stuff was remixed and stuff, the performances, right, and stuff. So you can, the band, yeah, listen, and you can to get that on Tidal.
Yeah, you can get it on Tidal.
So what else?
Alicia, I want to say she chimed in on the watch party. Okay. I want to say what's up to Alicia. She's watching. Okay. So now we come to a movie, okay, by T.I.
Oh yeah.
Called The Trap.
Okay.
Okay. The Trap. It stars T.I. and Mike Epps, and it has a cameo by Queen Latifah. Let me tell you,
she's one of the executive producers of the film.
Before we get to the plot line of it, mm-hmm, one of the best acted scenes between Mike Epps and T.I. is with Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
Queen Latifah is a doctor in this piece.
That scene was excellent.
Right? And she's caring for putting down what's really happening, putting down the law to them on what's really happening with their mother and her health condition.
Right.
And she puts her badge away and she lets them have it, and it's one of the best acted scenes that I have seen.
Right.
You know, between, I could say, three heavyweights.
Right.
You know, within a comedy.
Right.
Right. So I give that there. That right there, that scene right there is a 10.
Right.
All the way. It's the way it is, and then how she subtly is trying to flirt with the T.I.'s character,
right?
You know, as the doctor's still trying to be professional, but she says, "Give me a call."
It's T.I.
And then she looks back and I say, "Okay, that was slick, that was smooth, that was the way that was put in there." Yeah. Okay, so The Trap is about T.I., who has gone off to New Orleans to become a master chef. That's his dream. He wants to be a chef. So the chef that he is apprenticing under offers him a chance to go out to LA and open up a restaurant of his own under their brand. He will be the head chef. Right? And but he has to go home because he's called home because there's concern about his family's restaurant. His mother's father opened the restaurant after he came back from the war, and it's been within the family since then, since World War II, I think it is. Yeah, it's been in the family since then. Yeah, and so he goes home, and the first thing he goes there, that's when you're introduced to the help inside the restaurant, which is tight. I can't. God, what is her name? Tiana Taylor. Yep. That's right. She is hilarious. This piece, right? Hilarious in this piece. Right. And you know, we first saw her in the Tyler Perry. She was in the fast food. And she was hilarious, right? Right. Same type of character. Same type of character, right? Right. Which we had to break her out of that now, right? But she was hilarious at it. So T.I. comes in and she doesn't know who he is, but she's dating his brother, which is Mike Epps. Yeah. So Mike Epps comes out, big bro, blah, 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 blah. So they come from around there, so then they go visit their mom. Well, so he goes visits his mother and says, what you doing, what they're doing with the restaurant, you know. And there's something in the scene, the door's open and she's upstairs and it's like, wow, somebody could have came in, but I guess it was the type of neighborhood it was, right? So, he comes in, but then she faints. So he says, "Love, Tiana." Mm-hmm. So she faints, and then that's where the dramatic need kicks off. So you're introduced to him first, and you're introduced to his brother before he arrives at the restaurant. Then you're introduced to Taylor as a supporting character going up against T.I. That's well written. Yeah. Well written. Great story. Thematic storytelling in theater. Great, beautiful. So that kicks it off. That's the dramatic need, and he has to hold off from going to LA, and he's trying to get this restaurant taken care of. So that kicks off. Right. So at that point, it kicks off. You're introduced to his former love interest. So this is a buddy film. Yeah. And his mom is played by Loretta Devine. Right. That's right. So they have heavyweights in this piece, right? Yeah. So this is a true buddy film because each one has a love interest. Yeah. Each one has agency of their own. Right. Then you're introduced to three people on the outside, which includes one of them being DC Young Fly. Right. They're kind of like in Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. Okay. When Robin Harris and the other two older gentlemen are sitting out there on the stoop and they're watching people go by. They're observing everything and they're commenting, right? But unlike Spike Lee's film, the three that are sitting there do not have agency like the three that are sitting in Spike Lee's film. It's just subtle. It's just subtleness in which you deliver a person having agency. Like Robin Harris' character, when the kids, they got bannered back and forth with the kids. Your crash test dummy, your baby's kids, you know, and he had agency and they talked amongst themselves and it was conversation. But in this film, they talked, to me, just my opinion, it was like nonsense. They observed what was happening and then they would do cat calls to the women that were coming outside, but it was not really like how even Tyler Perry does it in one of his films where it's the older men sitting around a picnic table and a young lady comes up in some short shorts and he says, ha ha, and he's the Medea's brother.
Okay.
He's playing the older brother, and he's like, I need you to go down there and get me a pop from out the bottom of that barrel. Keep bending, and you see the cut to what they're looking at. Yeah, you gotta go deeper. Yeah. So that's agency, right? It's not just catcalling, but oh boy, I could see myself with that. I'm getting a little too old. And then all of them laugh, and then that's agency. It's slightly different than what was happening in the trap. Okay. So as the story goes on, that's why I asked, is DC Young Fly is 2 films. Now, people watch it now. As I was first watching it, I was like, But as the story went on, it really opened up, and I really started to enjoy it. But again, DC Young Fly is playing a character that's irresponsible, can't do what his job is, which is to hold the cell phone, right? And also, one of the other people who is one of the people sitting outside is Living My Best Life, which is the hater.
Not D-Ray. Not
D-Ray. Living My Best Life. The one who made that song. I can't think of his name right now. But he's also on the outside there. But it's not really agency, and he can't do what he needs to do.
He's always on the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. And so the story is good, and then the acting is good in it, and then in the end, there's a great ending. We want you to go see the film. So we're not going to give any spoilers, but that sets it up. That gives you a setup. Little Duvall. That's right. Living My Best Life. He's out there. But again, there's elements in it, and looking at the script writing and trying to bring Spike Lee lived that experience so he can go in deeper. It's not surface level.
Shining Duvall.
That's right. It's like it's not just surface level.
Right.
It's like what we were talking about on Wine and Conversation yesterday with Jennifer and Tamika. Where we talk about the difference between scripts that are written by white people talking about black people and black people talking about black people. How the black person is in it. It's the research. They tell you why they act like they do. So this is very important. So I don't know who actually wrote this script, but the to give the characters agency, even the secondary characters, is always very important. All right, so in the end, there's something, and you find out that the weed is in the chicken, and that's all we'll say. Go watch it, and then that's what makes you. What makes you go see it. The weed is in the chicken, and so go see it. So, what would you rate The Trap?
It was a good film. I would give it a. I give it an 8.
I give it an 8 too.
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
Yep.
It's the opening sequences, but that scene with Queen Latifah, Mike Epps, and T.I. Tip. It's just not no buffoonery. None of that. It's just straight them talking, and the laughs come from the situation. And so, you go see that film. So now we saw another one. We saw another film. We saw a film by Joaquin Phoenix.
Excellent actor.
He's
another one, like, okay, you see his name, okay, it's going to be a good film. Kind of like with the Phantom Thread. We thought because of Daniel Day-Lewis, although his acting was good, but in this film with Joaquin Phoenix, it did not disappoint.
Nick Gollard is chiming in, so we want to say what's up to her. She's watching.
Okay, what is she?
No, she didn't say anything. She just joined in, so I always say chimed in. But anyway, so look, he's another one like Method Man and Redman, who is about the character having agency. So whenever you see him in a film, you can tell that he sits down with the script writer and says, maybe the character should, and the director, and says, maybe the character should do like this. Maybe I should do it like this. So he's invested in, he goes in, he brings the character to life. So as the film opens, he's really the star of the film, and everyone else is secondary. So there's no really need to really name other characters because he's the star of the film, and everything else is just supporting.
Right.
He is a man that is on a mission to do right. Yeah. And within that situation of doing right.
Yeah. Shanice said Joaquin is very intelligent. He is very. Yeah.
So what you see in the film, so this is why we say that he's the person who pushed agency on this before we get into the plot line. There's elements of this film that you will see in the Joker.
That's gonna be excellent.
That's right.
The trailers.
In the Joker, he got gaunt.
Yeah.
He lost the weight to play this person, but there's elements in this film that I think that he probably sat down with the writers and incorporated it into the Joker film because the Joker film will be bigger, and he doesn't think that most people will see the film entitled You Were Never Really Here,
which is on Amazon Prime.
Right. So You Were Never Really Here.
Right.
He has transplanted some of the elements, like the mother taking care of a ailing mother. That is in the Joker film. It's like a transplant. I can see that. I can see that he consciously said, let's put this in to give the Joker character more tragic or tragedy, which will be more pressure to push him to the insanity that finally brings him to be the Joker, the criminal-minded, painted-faced, disturbed individual that we all have come to know the Joker to be over time.
Yeah, because when you see, if you haven't seen it, check out the trailer for the film Joker. And so watching the trailer, I'm like, okay, I can see why he's the way he is now as the Joker, because the nervous breakdown you can imagine him having. So from the trailer, when you see just a little bit of his life story and why he turns into the trailer,
the Joker.
The trailer. Why he turns into the Joker after watching the trailer and his tragic life and what he goes through.
Right.
Amazing. So I can't wait for the Joker to come out. But this film is a good film.
Right. So we open up and we see the character. First of all, let me tell you, technically beautifully shot.
Always.
Remember, we tell you that film is about the visual, because before sound came, before talkies came, it was all about the image, and then they would have a title board to write some words. But it was all about the image. Originally, it was about the image. So it opens, and you're like, what's going on? You see, it opens in a hotel room, but it's close and cropped on chairs, or bed. And you see a man's hands, and you see different items, like you see a photo of a young girl, then you see a necklace with a name on it, then you see other belongings that these hands are putting into a bag, and then next thing you know, you open up and you see this figure walking down the hallway. Then you walk out, and then he's in the alley, and he dumps this in the dumpster, and you're like, what's going on? Did this guy do something to this person? Because you're introduced to it, and it's like this person's necklace, the identity, and the other belongings are being thrown into a plastic bag and then dumped into a dumpster, and that's when you first see Joaquin Phoenix's character, and you're like, well, what is this? Because you read the description of what the movie is about, and this doesn't seem.
And I'm like, no,
this is what the movie
he's
is
supposed
about.
to be a good guy, so it's got to be more to it.
Why is there a picture of this girl, and then the name of the girl on a necklace, and it's being all this belongings are being dumped in a bag and thrown away. And then as he's walking down walking in the alley, someone comes out and tries to attack him, and he puts the person down. And then you say, well, if he's doing wrong, that would have been his karma.
Right.
But he must be a real tough guy, because if he's doing wrong, he didn't get his karma then, and he put him down. But you find out as the layers of the onion are pulled back,
right,
that this person was being sex trafficked. And that name on the necklace was given to her, and he returned her home. That's his mission.
So to
protect the youth in this picture. This is what this is about.
Right.
So whenever he gets a call to find a missing person, he goes out there and finds that person. So that's what you find out. So then you're introduced to his home life, which is tragic. He's taking care of his ailing mother who is ailing from dementia. Right. Sometimes she's there, other times she's not, and you can tell that she was once an educated woman because there are books,
tons of books,
and she
it's
reads.
A nice home.
It's a nice home
and everything. So
but she's suffering from dementia. So he's called. So the movie is, which I think, much like the Joker. If you ever watch any of the Joaquin Phoenix's films, they seem to move at a steady, slower pace, but the movement, the action within that real time that they're telling moves quick. But it's like it's a thinking man's film, right? And so you're sitting there, and he's introducing you, building the layers and the complexity of the character. That's what I'm going to love about the Joker, how he's going to build the complexity, and you can see this. So he's in this home with his mom, and she's ailing, and they have situations. She's in the bathroom, and she comes out, and water's all over the floor. He has to clean that up before he goes out to do another cleanup. Right? Yeah. So he goes out, and he goes out, and he's going to get a senator's daughter back. Right? And so he goes to get the senator's daughter back.
She's been kidnapped and thrown into sex trafficking.
Right. But it's a double cross.
So we don't want
and I'm not saying, but it's a double cross. Right. And he's drawn in, and then things happen in his life, and it goes on. And there's crazy. A scene, there's a strange scene in it, which I just have to tell this, but you have to see this film. I have to tell this. There's a strange scene. There's a strange scene. He comes home because everyone something happens, and everyone he's involved with that work with him as far as finding these lost people are turning up murdered. Everywhere he goes, he can't reach them. He goes to their place, he finds them murdered. So he comes home, and it's the strangest thing, because he knows how to come home without being seen. And this has to be told. You have to see it, because then this this really opens up the story, because it's complex. It goes in steps. It's in 3 acts, and then by the time you get to the third act runs through all of this, right? So he comes home, and he looks in the window, and he sees his mom. And then there's 2 intruders in the house. And he knocks down both intruders with his pistol, shooting them 1 shot each with lead. And the one is crawling, and he's crawling, and he says, he turns him over. Now, something happens to him, and he's taking these drugs to kill pain. So he has 1 pain pill left, and he gives it to the person, and they sit there and they talk. And this is what the title, this is the metaphor in the film, you were never really here. He sits there and talks to the guy, and he's laying there, and he lays down on the floor with him, because he's down on the floor, and he's got a gut shot, so he's gone. So he lays down there on the floor, and he talks to him, and the guy is talking to him, and the guy reaches out and grabs his hand and holds on to it, because he doesn't want to die alone. You were never really here. And then the story moves on from there. But it is a well worth seeing. It is a great film to watch, and you will see elements of what will be in the Joker. I'm sure of it, because Joaquin Phoenix sits down and says, let's slow this down a bit. And the Joker is going to be a thinking man's film, before it opens up into the violence. There's going to be violence in between. What I like about Joaquin Phoenix's films is it's a slower thinking man's pace, but then there's violent action that happens in it.
So it's action.
And then it goes back to thinking, then it comes back again, and then when it gets to the third act, it rolls. And I think that's what's going to happen with the Joker, right? So, cinematography 10,
excellent,
storytelling through image 10, the musical accompaniments underneath 10, the acting of the woman who plays his mother, she's beautiful acting, the criminal element in it, especially on the floor scene right there, that is just acting, because you usually see the person just wipe the person out, but it's like it's an understanding that you were just nothing but a goon, and you will not be recognized, and it will be as if you were never really here.
And you know what, also, like, the makeup and costume was excellent too, because of the violence in the film, and the gun shot, the bullet wounds in the face, and it's just bloody, and then like the visuals, they did an excellent job with the makeup because it looks realistic. Like kind
of like Sicario, we saw that too.
Oh yeah,
but we'll another time. Yeah, but we'll talk about Sicario probably next time. Okay, but that's another great one too, using the gunshot. Yeah, I need to I need to research that and figure out, can you take a gunshot through the chin? I mean through the cheek, and it pass through the head, and you not die? Because that's something that is a reoccurring theme in films. But anyway, I have to research that and figure that out. But so his acting in particular,
excellent.
His way of showing you that this character is in meditation while he's doing what he's doing, that he's thinking out every step that he's doing, that's a 10. The overall look of the film, using the city as a character itself, is a 10.
Yeah.
The alleyway, when you first introduce them, the color, the lighting to bring this to life, 10. The lighting in the house to show the drab of the condition with him and his mother, 10. The movie overall, so what would you rate the film?
I would give it a 10 for everything you said, you know, including the music. Well, the one scene when they're singing, you know.
You
wouldn't expect it, but
you wouldn't expect it, so that's in there.
And I do like watching this film, you know, as the terminology you use, like it's like the real world. Like it's very what do you say? Is it diverse? Is that the term?
Yeah, it's a diverse cast. Very, very important.
No matter where he's walking or going, or the people he's interacting with. So I would definitely give it a 10. The smart writing, intelligent script,
and no black killing in this film.
Yeah.
No, he's not killing. It's European American on European American crime.
And then the script is clever, well written, and it's not what's the term that always, it's like it's not
on the nose, and it's not predictable.
That's it. It's not predictable.
When it turns, and
you're like,
shocking.
What just happened? And it's shocking, and it's really good. So I hate predictable films. I hate lazy writing. I hate stupid writing. This is not that. It's intelligent, it's interesting, it takes you on a ride. Cinematography is beautiful, the acting is beautiful.
It's kind of like It's kind of like on a different genre, but it's kind of like American Gods first season and started in season 4. I mean, it's episode 4, 5, and we're gonna be seeing 6 tonight, right?
Yeah.
And so,
also they should, if you haven't seen it, we reviewed it on a previous episodes. Check out the Sister Brothers.
Yeah, Sister Brothers. Yeah, that was a sleeper, and it didn't get anything but the cinematography and the guy who usually is with Farrell.
Right. That's
get his name. But anyway, so that is a 10, people. You have to see the movie. You Were Never Really Here. That's on Amazon Prime, correct?
Yep.
Right. So Sister Brothers is not Joaquin Phoenix, but that's
it is Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay, yeah.
And it's him as well as the other actor,
It's
his
3 of them.
co-star.
Yeah.
Is
John C. Reilly.
Oh,
Yes.
and Jake Gyllenhaal.
And Jake Gyllenhaal.
And Riz Ahmed.
Yeah.
And we discussed this film and we gave it a 10.
Yeah, but people is slept on. It should have got for some cinematography and all that. It was a great Western piece.
But see, it was an independent film.
Yeah.
Just like this independent film. And I think it's like unfair the way they do independent films.
Speaking of independence, we have the film review, music review show coming out, and the first show for April 30th is stacked and packed with dope people. We got OGYG, that's one of the ones that we're reviewing. Wolf Dotson, we're reviewing his I Know. And then we have the No Face Shadow Men. Check out his Instagram, check out his music on what is that place? Reverb Nation. Check out his music. No Face Shadow Men. No faces together as a word. Shadow Men. And you will be, it's funk personified, and we're going to be reviewing it, and so stay tuned for that. And we got a whole jam-packed list. It's the only show of its kind where we push seeing independent hip-hop and music influenced by hip-hop being seen in independent film and Hollywood movies. Only show of its kind, and it's global. April 30th, first episode. We're going to show you how you can watch it globally all across the world, right? A hint through your smart TV. Okay, so that's a quick plug there. And the last movie that we have tonight, because we were on
I thought we covered all of them.
We were on a watching binge of films. Yeah. We watched the horror film. Right. It's a horror suspense.
Which one? Oh, Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place.
Yes.
This is the last. Listen. A Quiet Place will have you tripping, because this is actually a love story masked as a horror thriller type film, right? It's more like, it's kind of suspenseful too, because you don't get to see what the creature is, but when you see the creature and you see the creature at its end, the end, and you see how it's so creepy, the way the creature looks. A well-designed creature in a film, and it's like, wow, I've never seen quite an alien. Like we've seen Alien the movie, and we've seen Predator, right? But this alien right here, the way that it looks, it's just so creepy. As I'm thinking about it, the way it looks when it gets this sonic noise. But anyway, let's go through the cast.
Well, what I love about the film is it's a husband and wife team in real life, and they're acting in this film together. And the film is produced by actor John Krasinski and his wife Emily Blunt. She's also in the film, but this is his film. And it's also starring Millicent Simmons and Cade Woodward and Noah Jupe. But John Krasinski, he's been in so many films. So when you see this film, you'll recognize him. But to learn that he produces this film and this is his project.
Directs, produces.
And then his wife is starring in the film with him. He's also acting in the film. I mean, just like, great job.
And for him to have written it. Too, right? And to have come up and develop this alien that you're like, wow, look at this. Just
he was one of the writers. There were other writers.
But he was in there. But to develop this creature,
project,
right? And it's interesting, because we were talking and said probably if Jordan Peele hadn't come out with Get Out, then he probably wouldn't have got a chance to make an independent
opportunity. Screenplay by him. But so right after Get Out came out and it was a success, Then
the studios opened up.
Yeah, and then they released this film, and it also did well. And so that was great because they gave Jordan Peele as an actor also, and they gave him an opportunity, and he just blew it out of the water. Right. The success of both of his films, right?
And he continues.
Yeah, and so they gave this actor an opportunity also, John Krasinski, and he blew it out the water also.
So A Quiet Place, like I said, is masked as a horror thriller, and your so it's masked as that, and it's a you might as well get it. And we'll continue. All right, here we go. All right, so it's masked as that, right, people? But it's a love story. It's a love story of husband and wife, love story of family. Yeah. This is what. So it's interesting. So it's a love story, horror. It's a combination
and it's
of
realistic
genre.
in one part. I mean, because normally when you see a film, all of the family members survive. Well, not in this film.
No, not in this film. So it opens up, and again, cinematography and the placement of the camera, beautifully done. The first image that you see is you see a darkened grocery store aisle. Yeah. And then you see a little figure of a kid in a snow hat with a ball run across the screen. And you hear this. And then you're hearing other people walking in, and then as you do, it's like crisscrossing. That's how I see it in the film. You see the little kid, then you see his sister, then you see the brother, then you see the mother, then you're introduced to the father. Then something happened, which this is the initiating event of the film. This is another film which is a thinking man's film. It moves slow, but the action within it is quick. So within the real time of it, it's action in it. So the little boy wants this rocket ship. And the whole premise of the movie is about these aliens can't see, but they can hear. So sonically, they can hear. So you have to be quiet. That's why it says a quiet place, right? And so you never see, there's no one else that seems survived on the planet other than this family, right?
And then you see someone else in.
Whoa. You see, you're right. Let me back up. But it appears that the only people who survived on the planet.
You would think they were the only ones left.
Right. Yeah. So he wants this rocket ship. It looks like a space shuttle. Now, automatically, there's a metaphor there because the space shuttle program has ended. There will never be another space shuttle because, like the Republicans said so way back in the day, no dollars, no Buck Rogers. And now here we have a man in office now that's talking about they want Buck Rogers. But anyway, a whole nother story. When Reagan was stripping arts out the school, they were stripping NASA. But at the same time, So he wants this, but now this is the funniest thing because whenever I saw a Shadow toy, it was never battery powered, but this one has batteries. Great story beat in the film because the reason why they don't want him to have it, he goes to grab it. He's stepping on a step stool and trying to step up high. It drops, it falls. His sister catches it. She comes in and retrieves it before it hits, because if it hits, then later in the film you find out when things hit, here come these things.
It alerts the aliens,
right? So they tell him he can't have it.
Right.
Now he's about 4. He's 4 years old, right? Terrible 4. And they tell him he can't have it. So, and they took his story beat is taking the batteries out to let you know that if he has this is gonna be some shit. The alien is coming. So, they take the batteries out and tell him he can have it. So they walk. So I guess they were teaching their kids to have independence because they got to not be afraid, but follow directions. So they leave him and his older sister in the store as they're walking, and so the older sister hands him the toy. They had took the batteries and put it up on the counter. He grabs the batteries right? And walks out. So they're walking. So they're walking across this bridge.
You can't tell what happened.
He's walking across this bridge, and then something happens. And that kicks off the film.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, the woman is with child, and you're trying to figure this out. And you're like, how are you gonna get out of this? And the suspense is.
Hey, Brittany.
Thanks for chiming in. The suspense is believable.
Yeah.
The storyline is believable. The way that things are figured out and executed and working to stay alive and to survive is very believable.
Yeah.
Right? And there are story beats in there about sound and how sound can be masked.
Yeah.
Very intelligent writing. Very intelligent. So, A Quiet Place is worth seeing. Right? And it will have you twisting and turning in your seat because you're like, oh no, from one possible disastrous situation to another
and
possible
trying to keep children quiet. Just imagine.
That is something
challenging, and you see it in the film.
You see it in the film. Yeah. So, what would you rate this film?
Oh, it's a good film. I would give it a 10.
10. Yeah, I would give it a 10. A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
So we've reviewed quite a few films. We even talked about a boxing match tonight. We talked about 420, and we
Beyonce's Homecoming.
Yeah. We asked what purpose the Easter have for you, and people chimed in, and we talked about that. So this has been the Easter Sunday edition, the 56th episode of the film review.
And check out the
t-shirts, and make sure you go to LordlandFilms.com. LordlandFilms.com. Everyone who becomes a member gets a t-shirt, and we have
as well
different
as other goodies.
Yeah, we have different levels of t-shirts, and all those who are members get chance. Okay, so we're back. So
become a member.
Check it out. You know, everyone who becomes a member gets a t-shirt,
win prizes,
and they're also able to get once a month we have a monthly drawing, which we draw right here on the show, and people who are members get the chance to get free 2 ticket passes to see a movie of their choice,
and also the opportunity to physically sit in and be a part of a film review
and actually review, you know, special films. So all of that is laid out on the website, the different levels of membership. So become a member on LordlandFilms.com. That's LordlandFilms.com. Go there, click member, and it'll take you to the different levels. Also, if you're on your phone, you'll go to LordlandFilms.com. You'll see the home icon, and then you'll see 3 slits. You click that, and it drops down the Navibar menu. You push member, and it'll take you right there. You can see the different levels. Join us, you know, enjoy it, because we're taking this to the next level. This is the 56th episode of the film review, Easter Sunday. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. Right. We are the husband and wife team. Thanks, Shanine. It is so cool. Cool. Like,
you also left out part of the membership. One of the packages is to you know, be a part of a live, like, studio audience, everybody together, the members discussing films. Fun.
Right. So all that is laid out there on the site, LordlandFilms.com. LordlandFilms.com. Click member. Right. So again, are we finished?
Yep.
Any last words?
Well, it's time to what is it? The Shy.
It's time to see The Shy.
Tonight,
it's time to see
Game of Thrones.
It's time to see
American
Gods. I mean, it's so much to watch.
Reunion, the Atlanta Housewives.
I
think this
reunion.
Is
the last installment.
Right.
Is Nikki Leakes getting on them or what? What's going on?
Yeah,
but anyway.
Okay.
So, and who got the peach?
Oh, Marlo.
Marlo got a peach.
Finally.
Did you see
She works hard for that peach.
I mean, did you see part 2 of the Housewives reunion where she told the one lady where
which one?
Where when Nene Leakes told the one lady, she said, "You gonna have to pull that peach from out your." Yeah, she told you
out of her PUSSY.
You got to pee that out your PUSSY because I ain't never gonna get.
I said, "Bravo!" They took it to another level with that. I said,
"Jeez." And you know, it was under breath, so they wrote the subtitles on it, and they put the PUSSY in there. Said, "You ain't never gonna get. You have to bring that, push that peach out your PUSSY."
I was like,
"Woo!"
Andy Cohen said that was the best Housewives reunion ever, including all the installations with New York, Beverly Hills, with Dallas. And my other favorites. Potomac, yeah.
Potomac, they know how to read on the Potomac.
I love the Potomac. I'm looking forward to that. That starts May 5th, I think.
Yeah. So listen, people.
Yeah.
See, that's just mindless TV.
Yeah, mindless, right?
It's entertainment, right? It's entertainment because, you know, we come in all shapes, sizes, thoughts, mentality, all that, right? So, but anyway, I just got to say one more time about A Quiet Place. When you see the alien in its full manifestation at the end of the film, how creepy. During the film, they show you different parts and how the alien, but when it gets creepy, it will send shivers and chills up your spine when you see this. So definitely see A Quiet Place. So anyway.
Oh, don't forget tomorrow. Oh, Shanice says Atlantic is the best. Okay. Yeah, Atlanta. It is the best. I think you can tell that they're his favorite crew. Yeah, Atlanta.
Plus, he already told them that black don't crack. He
did say that.
He said, because compared to the other housewives, you are the same age, but you don't look like them. He didn't say hags, but I'll say, in my opinion.
I love to see him sit down with the Atlanta cast, and I think, let's see, they're sitting down right now. But the last thing is I guess tomorrow Wendy Williams will talk about how her dinner with Charlamagne went. So that'll be
that's gonna be good, great entertainment, and he's gonna talk about it on the Breakfast Club in the morning.
Yeah.
So this should be good. So anyway, people, we have went over. This is like almost headed to a 3-hour presentation because we had a lot to talk about. Yeah. This is the Easter edition, and we had to give it to you, right?
Right.
So, in closing. Finally.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. No. You are watching the film review.
Yeah.
Movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
Yeah.
We are the husband and wife team. Right. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy. Happy belated birthday to Javante.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
This is another great episode of the film review.
We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. Stay tuned. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D. And this is the film review. Stay tuned. We got a lot to talk about. We are the husband and wife team that review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. This is the film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. Sunday at 5:30 on Crazy on Dion page on Facebook. Live stream. The film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. This is the film review.